Welcome to today's episode of Kikulacho, where we will be exploring how the food we eat can influence our mental health. I'm your host, Mariara, and I'm joined by Raphael.
Thank you so much, Mariara, for inviting me. My name is Raphael Obego. I'm a final year student at the University of Nairobi taking food science, nutrition and dietetics. And I'm also the vice president of Kenya Nutrition and Dietetics Student Association. I'm happy to join you today for the show, and I'm hoping for the best.
Thank you so much. So we'll just jump right into it. You know, the society we're currently living in, people are experiencing high levels of stress and anxiety. Are there foods that people can eat in order to manage this stress and anxiety?
Yeah, this is true. This is very true. Studies have shown how much the foods we eat can influence our moods, and this goes all the way to managing the anxiety. Anxiety is whereby you're worried about how the day is gonna be, how when you wake up, will your plans work? So when this is not managed, it will lead to anxiety disorder over time, and also stress, because maybe you're planning to do something and things don't go well. And we have specific foods that helps regulate the release of neurotransmitters in our brain, and these neurotransmitters helps regulate and manage the anxiety. It's more of preventive medicine. We prevent it before they actually occur. So these foods, we have different sources. We have vitamin B2, B6, B9, and calcium, also magnesium. So starting by vitamin B12 helps in the release of melatonin, which is a neurotransmitter helping to regulate the anxiety. Melatonin is released along with calcium, availability of calcium and magnesium in the body. And the sources are protein-rich foods that we have, whether we consume. And we have the high biological value proteins and the low biological value proteins. For the high biological value, they give more melatonin compared to the low biological value. So the high biological value, we have chicken, eggs, fish. And for the alternative, for those who cannot afford, because of the economy, we have the low biological value proteins. They still give melatonin, but not as high as the high biological value proteins. So we have plant-based sources like legumes. We have beans, peas, kamande, ndengu, the common ones. And for the vitamin B6 helps in the release of tryptophan. Tryptophan is converted into serotonin. This one is also good for maintaining the attention span and concentration during the day. So this helps reduce anxiety over time. And the sources are, we have bananas, we have soybean, we also have cereals, nuts, seeds, whole grains, the likes of simsim. Those are basically the sources that we have. For the calcium and magnesium, the source is milk. The good source is milk.
We know that nowadays many people are lactose intolerant. So are there different maybe alternatives that they can have?
True. There are alternatives in the market nowadays. We have lactose-free milk. We even have lactose-free yogurt. So there are alternatives in the market.
All right. Awesome. I heard you mentioning something about concentration, and we know that for us to be able to be productive and to work throughout the day, we need to focus and have like a high level of concentration. What are some of the foods that maybe we can have that can help with these concentration levels?
For the concentration levels, it goes a long way with our feeding habits. Our feeding habits. And feeding habits, this is whereby you have to get enough sleep. You have to look into whatever you're eating and at what time. For instance, when you take a heavy meal during the lunch hour, you'll basically feel asleep at noon. You've seen these even in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you slept during the afternoon classes. Yeah,
Yeah.
true. So you have to take a small portions, but frequently.
Okay.
So you take a small portion of a meal at different times. You can give yourself a span of 4 hours,
Okay.
yeah, but not a heavy meal at once. So a heavy meal at once will reduce your attention span,
Okay.
because you binging yourself and you loading yourself in, and the digestion will try to take a lot of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now that you've mentioned the sleep-wake cycles, and a lot of people also struggle with having like a good night's rest.
True.
And sometimes you hear people saying, mi siwezi nikalala kama sijakunywa kahawa yangu. You know, what are some of the things that people might do that might help them to have better sleep schedules, and also just to have deeper, more restful sleep?
Okay, the sleep-wake cycle, it's a sleep and wake cycle. So you have to get enough sleep, and you have to look into the time you're going to sleep,
Yeah.
the time you're spending your day. The people who are affected much are the night shift workers, because they'll spend their day active, and they also go for work at night. So these people, for them to compensate, they have to get enough sleep during the day for them to work at night. So apart from this, we have the feeding habits. We have foods that can also help.
Okay.
Yeah, we have foods that can also help. Feeding habits, there are these habits that we must or we need to avoid. If you need a good sleep, avoid caffeine before bed, avoid alcohol before bed, avoid screen time on phones before bed. That will also help. And you also have to train yourself. You have to train yourself. You can have a sleep curfew. You know that I can't be active past this time. So you have to train yourself and obey the sleep curfew. But for the foods, we still go for the neurotransmitters, because we have to regulate the brain. We have to gear the brain that this time is for sleeping. So the foods that helps us are we still go for we have a high fat, restricted protein, and high carbohydrate diet. Restricted protein is whereby there are some neurotransmitters that cannot be released, or their release is limited when you consume a lot of carbohydrates. Why? When you consume a lot of protein, sorry. Because a high carbohydrate diet inhibits the production of these neurotransmitters from the protein sources that we eat. And a high fat diet, basically provides us with the omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, which helps us regulate the brain development and neurological development. So omega-6 fatty acids are gotten from nuts, cereals, seeds, grains, and for the omega-3, we have the best sources. One of the richest sources of omega-3 is fish. Yeah, the deep sea fish. We have tuna, but also the local fatty fish is also a good rich source of for omega-3. Also milk, meat, and legumes for the vegans or vegetarians.
Okay. Yeah. So today I've learned that protein is very, very important in the sense that they have certain vitamins like the B12 and the B6 and omega-6 from the fish and milk and stuff. And I am sure that once people are able to lower their stress and to focus on their tasks, they will be able even to have a good night's rest, and that will also help in their mental health. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been such a great conversation. My name is Varjara and my guest was Raphael. It is clear that food isn't just fuel for the body, and it is also vital for our mental health. To everyone watching at home, remember that what you eat can make a huge difference in how you feel. That's it for today's episode of Kikulacho. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time with more tips. Remember that you are what you eat. Take care. Bye.